Hello, welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. In this upload, we're going to be reading 2 Kings chapter 5. Now, Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed, and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 charges of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man doth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it was so, when Elisha the man of God had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought, he will surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, wouldest thou have done it? How much rather then, when he saith to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again, like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules' burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship thee, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman this Syrian, and not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him, and take somewhat of him. So Gehazi followed after Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him, and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master hath sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver, and 2 changes of raiment. And Naaman said, Be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags, with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house, and he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, Went not my heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money, and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maidservants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper, as white as snow. The previous chapter, 2 Kings 4. An impoverished widow seeks the advice of Elisha. An unnamed wealthy woman allows Elisha and his servant to lodge in her home with her husband. Elisha prophesies that she will have a son. Sometime later, the boy gets sick and dies. The unnamed wealthy woman calls on Elisha, who manifests healing onto the boy. The sons of prophets make a stew with an unknown plant. An unnamed man brings the prophets 20 loaves of bread, which miraculously feeds all of the men and is enough to have leftovers. Our current chapter, 2 Kings 5. Naaman, a military leader of Syria, has leprosy. He finds out about Elisha and tells the Syrian king, who sends him to Israel with a letter and gifts. Elisha tells Naaman to wash in the Jordan River 7 times, which heals him. Naaman offers Elisha gifts, which he refuses. Gehazi, Elisha's servant, lies to Naaman, saying that Elisha requested money and clothes from him. Elisha finds out and tells Gehazi that him and his descendants will forever be cursed with Naaman's skin condition. Gehazi's skin turns white as snow. Ooh. Had to make sure the microphone was working. Summarizing 2 Kings chapter 5. So Naaman is a military captain of an army, or he's a captain of the military for the king of Aram, or the king of Syria. Okay, so Syria and Aram is the same territory. I just like to say Syria because that's in the King James. Yeah. So the King James for me is the default. Right now we're reading from the Christian Standard. Okay. So Naaman, he's a well-respected man. He's a military commander, but he has a skin condition. He's got leprosy. And so this is verses 1 through 7. So in one victory, Syria conquered another group of people and they bought back captives. And one of the captives was a servant for Naaman's wife. And the girl who was, Naaman's wife's servant says to her, if only he could find the prophet that I know, then Naaman could get healed of his skin disease. So Naaman went and told his master, told the king. Okay, so Naaman told the king, that's what it's saying, but it says, and one went in. I always thought that was such a weird way to word things. It's a construct that people use in English to avoid using someone's name. They use one like a pronoun. And that was a writing mistake that I used to make as well. But you're supposed to write your sentences without having to use one to start a sentence or to refer to someone. It would have just been better to say, so Naaman told the king, instead of and one went in. Okay, so Naaman has a skin disease. He brings back this captive who was a female servant for his wife. She tells him about a prophet. Naaman tells the king about this prophet that the girl knows. And the king of Israel gives him a letter and gifts and says, go to the king of Israel. So Naaman goes to the king of Israel, brings him the gifts, and the king of Israel became upset because he believes that this is a task for him to do instead of Elijah the prophet. So the king of Israel starts freaking out. He tears his clothes and he believes the king of Syria wants to start a quarrel with him. What is he picking on me for? He knows I can't heal this man. So Elisha hears that the king is upset and he requests that the king send Naaman to him. So Naaman goes to Elisha's house. Elisha sends him a messenger. He doesn't even meet this prestigious military captain. He sends him a messenger and says, yeah, go wash in the Jordan 7 times. So Naaman is like, that's it? Verse 11 and 12 is telling because he says, I thought he would come out, stand and call the Lord down on him to heal him. Naaman was expecting a huge show and was told to just go wash in the Jordan. And he's like, I couldn't have washed in the lake that's where I live. I had to go all the way over here. I had to go through all this just to do something that I've been doing. Or I'm assuming maybe he doesn't bathe that often. Maybe that's why it made him so mad. We know that men are created from the same dirt that the animals are created from. Remember, it wasn't until God fashioned that dirt into flesh that he made the woman. There's no other creation like the woman. Remember, God looked at that man and said, oh, he's not good. See, that's what I get. I felt my nose getting wet. I had to pause and blow my nose. Or dab, dab it. Okay. So Naaman is angry because I thought he was going to do something more than this. I mean, this is a prophet of God. And all you're going to tell me to do is dip in the river? But his servant puts Naaman in perspective and says, look, if the prophet had told you to do something drastic, you would have done it. I mean, you have this condition. Just do what he says. See if it works. So Naaman went and he dipped himself. And then it says his skin was restored and it became like a small boy and he was clean. Naaman was so grateful that in verse 15, he tells Elisha that, now I know there's no God in the world except for in Israel. Naaman then offers Elisha gifts. Elisha refuses the gifts. As the Lord lives, I will not accept it. Naaman urged him to accept it, but he refused. This hits home for me because I was talking to God about this because I do sometimes, I know that this channel is not being done in vain, but there's just some things that make me, I just go to God and I'm like, God, didn't you see that? Didn't you see what this person did? Don't you see this person trying to make me feel discouraged? Don't you see that, God? And he had to make me realize that, like, you actually do want validation. You actually do want credit for what you're doing. And I didn't guarantee you that you were going to get credit. I didn't guarantee you that you were going to get anything. I told you it wouldn't be in vain, but I didn't guarantee. So my humanness, I'm like, well, God, well, then what is it then? Because I'm also not very patient. I'm not patient. That's why I start my video like that. I don't want a long introduction because I'm irritated by how long it takes to get to what we're trying to talk about. Like, that's how bad it is. Do you know why I don't have children? Because I don't want the inconvenience of having to deal with that. Okay, when I'm going to go to Walmart, I just throw something on and go to Walmart. I don't have to stop and pack a baby in a stroller, and then the baby might mess and stuff. Then I got to clean the mess. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with anybody screaming. Okay, that's why it's. I'm 36 and I'm looking at these men and the mindset, the hairline, the pregnant stomachs. I feel like it's just going to be nothing but extra chores for my life. So those times when I do feel lonely because I'm human, sometimes I'll get the videos with the babies and I'll think I don't have a baby. But then I'll think about it again. I'm like, well, last time I went to the grocery store and the baby was hollering. How bad did I didn't feel that then. Okay. But Elisha would not accept anything. And it might have been because he didn't do anything. God is the one who healed him. Elisha didn't even talk to him. He just sent a servant to talk to him. So it wouldn't be right for Elisha to accept anything. It was God's doing. So after Naaman was healed, Elisha says, I'm not going to take your money. And he says, well, if you're not going to take my money, at least let me give you some land. And then verse 18 is another thing, because what he's saying here, though I know the God that healed me is God, the real God, when my master, when my king, my superior, when my superior bows to his God, I'm going to have to bow to his God too, because that's my employer. That's my lifeline. So I hope that the God of Israel is going to be okay with me having to bow before another God for my job. So I hope that your God will pardon me in this manner. Because I mean, I've definitely done that before. I've definitely done that before. Bow for money, bow for an opportunity, bow. Don't honor God because I need this money. That's something I have to deal with every day because I'm at a place in life where I could use the money. I could use the opportunity. I really could. It really would help me a lot. I can bow. I can cannibalize my community and tear my community apart that desperately needs help. A community that had laws written against them. Country never compensated them for that. Never compensated them for their work, but just tore down everything they tried to build on their own. Exploited them. I can go and tear them apart. There's plenty of people doing that. I can rage bait. Or I could get up here and just talk about my negative experiences with colorism, like I did one time, because I got views immediately when I talked about that with my natural hair. Bowing for money. I've done it before. Verse 20, Gehazi, Elisha's servant, decides that Elisha didn't take that money, so he gonna get that money. Oh, Elisha's stupid. You not gonna take it? Well, I'm gonna get mine. Ah. Gehazi, the servant, decided he was gonna take that money, so he goes behind Naaman. Naaman is so thankful and so happy that his skin is clear, that this condition is gone. Gehazi makes up this lie, Elisha's servant, and he says, Elisha sent me here to tell you that we have some visitors coming and we actually do need some of that money. Says here's 75 pounds of silver, but Naaman insisted, take 150, take double what you want. Is it 75 times 2, 150? Yes. Yes. 150 with 2 sets of clothing. So Gehazi gets back to, I guess, where Elijah is, whatever, hides the stuff that he got from Naaman away, and then goes to Elisha. And Elisha knows immediately. He says, where'd you go? Elisha said, I didn't go anywhere. He lies. And Elisha says, yeah, my heart didn't go with you. I didn't tell you to take that money. Is this a time to accept anything? This man was just cured of a horrible disease, and it changed his life and changed his faith in God. And all you're thinking about is yourself and what you can get out of it when you didn't even do anything. God is the one who did it. Elisha then says, "So, the skin condition that Naaman was cured from, now is going to be on you, you and your descendants forever." So, Gehazi left out of Elisha's presence with his skin in that condition now, diseased. Mm. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. 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 Have a wonderful day.